Yeah, we are.
Well, you said okay, so I thought, okay. I think we are live. Good morning, everyone. I was just conversing with my son, who is in California catching huge bass right now in my old kayak. And so, as much as I love this, I would rather be fishing with my son. Or I'd rather be fishing with almost anybody.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, okay. So, here we go. A couple announcements. Well, we'll wait till a few people.
Morning,
hey,
Michael.
Scott.
Morning,
Tessa.
Scott.
Good morning.
Gosh darn it, it's hard to do this from here.
So we are live on Facebook. Last night we were live on YouTube, and I'm hoping that this all comes out okay. That our sound is good, although our sound has been really good lately since we're using the iPad. It's the picture that isn't as good as the iPhone. But with the iPhone, the microphones don't work. Anyway, it's something we're dealing with. We've got a new camera coming. Hopefully we'll have, within a couple weeks, we'll have it in operation. And I think that will greatly improve a lot of things when it comes to these live broadcasts. So, first things first. Last night we announced that we are looking for brand new sign carvers. So if you have carved 10 signs or less, we are going to be doing something special next Friday night on the YouTube Live. So if you have carved 10 signs or less, we consider you a new sign carver. Please send me an email and we'll put you in the mix for
somebody from France.
Is that JC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey JC. We will put you in the mix for
A special drawing.
a special drawing that we're doing, and that's next Friday.
It was a donation from somebody that wanted it to go to a new sign carver.
Exactly. So, send me an email directly, eric@makeawoodsign.com. Yeah, or vickywithdavessigns@gmail.com, and then we
That's
will.
not right.
No.
VickyWithDaveSigns@gmail. Yeah, that's right.
I said it
sorry.
automatically. I'm hoping it was right.
Wow, I feel really short. How come I always get the short chair?
The short chair, because you have the short legs. Anyway, send me an email and we'll talk about it probably on Tuesdays Live and Thursdays Live coming up this coming week. But anyway, so we're excited about that.
Good morning, Rigoberto.
Rigoberto and Ernie and Stanley. Wow, we got a lot of people. Hey, Jeff. Secondly, if you guys haven't heard, I sent out an email on Tuesday about the idea of doing some Zoom workshop classes for small groups. And many of you may not have gotten that email because I send it out as a bulk email. Some people's individual emails may see those as spam, when in fact it's not. So if there's any way that you can take my email, eric@makeawoodsign.com, and flag it as non-spam, then chances are you'll receive, unless you don't want to get my emails, then leave it the way it is, I guess. But if you flag that within your email program, whatever you're using for email, whether it's Gmail or Yahoo or GoDaddy or whatever it is, some people have to unflag that as non-spam so that you get my emails. Anyway, the gist of the email is I am considering doing some group Zoom coaching / workshops where I'll be literally live Zoom with a group of people. We're going to do probably, if we do it, it'll probably be 6 weeks in a row, an hour on Saturday, sometime during the Saturday, prime time hours. And I will be going over a different thing every week, and but I really want it to be very interactive, where you bring me your issues, your problems, your challenges, and hopefully I can solve them right on Zoom live, and we can, you know, get you past any sticking points that you might be having in your sign carving. So it's still theoretical, but I'm getting really good response, so I think it's going to happen. So if that is something that you want information on, then let me know. Eric@makeawoodsign.com, and you know, I will keep you. I'm putting together the group of people that have an interest in it. More details hopefully will come out this next week. Whether, number one, whether I'm going to do it or not. Right now it looks pretty good because I'm getting pretty good response. But if you guys are interested in that, definitely let me know. And then next week, hopefully, if it happens, I will update everybody as a group, let everybody know, and more details on exactly how that whole thing is going to work, what the cost is going to be, everything. So no commitments, just if it sounds interesting to you, let me know.
Yes, Tessa, I did. Colored my hair.
Yes, you did. Yeah, I guess that's about it. I have a question and a little demo I want to do.
I kind of think that was meant for us to show today.
Nope.
Okay.
We're not showing that today. Anyway, so they're probably wondering what the heck that's all about. My dad just brought something in that he wants to talk to me about, but then he sees we're live, so we'll talk about it later. Anyway, so my little, you want me to go ahead and
yeah, I don't really have anything.
Not much to.
I'm just gonna sit here and listen.
Okay, so I got an email from Gary Litchfield, and he has a customer, or potential customer, that wants him to put the 10 Commandments on a sign. That's a lot of lettering, in case you guys don't know, in case there's somebody out there that doesn't know. I don't really, you know, I should know the 10 Commandments better than I do. But anyway, just looking at this, it's a lot of lettering. I just printed this out off the internet. This isn't the actual copy that Gary is going to use. But the trick is, he wants him to do it on a 12 by 24, but he wants it going vertically. Well, I guess maybe like a tablet, so to speak, you know, like Moses brought down from the mountain. Anyway, the 10 Commandments all on one board, 12 inches, or this is actually 11. This is select mine, 11 by 24. Well, there are some, so Gary wanted my advice or my input on doing something like that. Now, Gary kind of figured it out. He did some calculations and figures that the letters are going to have to be like ½ inch tall. The main letters, some of them might be a little bit bigger than that up at the top, or you know, the numbers or something, but most of the lettering is going to be ½ inch tall. That is really tiny, guys. I've carved ½ inch and even smaller letters, but it gets kind of dicey. It gets kind of tricky. The other part issue that I see is that if it is laid out this way, I don't know, they probably can't see. So if it is laid out this way, then the problem is you're actually carving from the side, because it gets a little dicey if you're carving, you know, vertically from the top this way. You'll actually be carving, you know, going this way. That has always been a little bit challenging for me, in the fact that I'm so used to doing so many letters that if I'm not reading the letters as I go, going left to right, I don't know why. It's a mental thing more than anything else. So I suggested that Gary definitely practice on a practice board just to get comfortable with whatever letters he is going to be routing. As far as, he also asked me about pricing. Now, normally speaking, whatever your price per square foot is, the way I price something, price per square foot doesn't involve like a ton of copy like this. So this will be very time consuming. So if you're going to do something like that, you know, you have to add an extra charge in, or at least that's my suggestion. That's what I do. If it's something that like that little lunar sign that I just did. And
Good morning, Tammy.
You guys will see. Good morning, Tammy. Hey, Tammy. you guys will see on Monday the second part of that little lunar sign. Well, that was only 5 inches by 11 inches. It was 2 inches thick, but it was only 5 inches by 11 inches. And if I just charge per square foot on that, my normal charge, it wouldn't have been near enough. I had to take into account that it was, I had to drill a hole in it vertically, and also it's a 1 inch depth as far as the routing. So anyway, I didn't charge near enough on that sign. I should have charged about twice what I did. I charged $125 is what I charged for that. I meant to say that on the video, but I forgot. Anyway, I charged $125 for that. It really should have been about twice that with all the work that was involved, which is really expensive from a square footage standpoint. So that is, I don't even know what that works out to. But you have to take into account extra things like you're going to be carving super deep, or if there's a ton of copy on there, you have to take those things into account when you're pricing. So I gave Gary some recommendations on that as well. The other thing is when you are carving, and we're going to assume that all these letters are going to be carved inset. When you are carving small letters, oh, there it is. When you are carving small letters, these are 1 inch letters. When you are carving small letters, what you have to keep in mind is anything that's an internal cut, like the middle of the A, the R, this ampersand, the D, the B's, anything that's an internal piece, even though you're cutting a line inset, those are basically outset pieces. And if you go in a clockwise direction, then, and it happens to be a chippy board, you may lose those. So I am always, especially on small inset letters, I'm always careful to pay attention to whether my board, oh, that looks pretty good. I'm holding it about the right spot.
You're welcome, Patrick.
I'm always try to be aware that if I am cutting that piece in a clockwise direction, well, for you guys, I guess it would be this way, in a clockwise direction, you may lose those pieces if it's a chippy board. This happens to be cedar, yeah, cedar, and there's no chippiness to this at all. But if you are carving something that does have a chippy aspect to it, you definitely want to make sure that all of those little internal cuts, you're cutting counterclockwise, which for you guys, I think would be this direction. It has to be opposite. I think it, yeah, so you definitely want to do that counterclockwise. On 1/2 inch letters, you can imagine how tiny that will be on a 1/2 inch letter. So that's what I'm always aware of. And I've carved, I think on camera, I've carved letters that small a few times. But you really have to be aware of that because, you know, how easy is it going to be for that little piece to chip out? Very easy. So that was the other thing. I would pick a wood that I would hopefully would not be chippy. Maybe even a hardwood like an oak or poplar that doesn't have a really hard grain running through it, but it's very hard consistently. That's what I would pick. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Matt says lumber prices are so crazy right now. The realtor signs I make barely make any money. Cedar is more than pine.
Wow.
Patrick says, what's the best source of wood? Big box stores weren't the best.
The best source of wood, Patrick, every place, every location is different. So what I would try to do is hit cabinet shops and look for their, their scraps, their fall down lumber. You guys know I carve stuff out of, well, like that tiki bar. I got a bunch of stuff that the cabinet shops didn't want, and I got a killer price on it. So cabinet shops a lot of times are looking to get rid of a lot of stuff. So I would check with cabinet shops. That would be probably my number one. If you have fencing, people that build wooden fences, if you have fencing companies around you, check and see if they've got any scrap. Many times they do. I don't think it's a bad idea to check Facebook Marketplace. There's a lot of people that have written me that have got killer deals from places like that you know, you won't find them all the time, but it's worth scanning through there to see if there's something. Craigslist, that gets a little dicey, but if you have lumber yards. Now, we don't have lumber yards anywhere near us. The closest place I could find a lumber supplier, other than the box stores, literally is Phoenix, is hours drives away from us. So I'm using stuff pretty much from the box stores. But,
I'm trying to sneak my question
go ahead.
in there.
Go ahead.
Tessa wants to know, is maple hard to carve, and do you like to carve it?
Actually,
You did the little girl in maple, didn't you? The little Valentine's girl?
that was ambrosia maple. I do like maple. There's a lot. I think there's a lot of different species of maple, but the ones I've carved so far, although I think there's a hard maple that I did one time, didn't have a lot of fun with that one. So there's a lot of species.
That piece that she got.
That piece that you got, Tessa, I saw it. That's like ambrosia maple or wormy maple. That should carve really nice. I've carved that before, and again, I carved that little Valentine girl. Was out of a piece of that Luther had sent me. So I've had really good luck with that.
Keith Davenport says, I'm fortunate. I work at a real lumber yard. It's pretty easy to source for me. Nice.
Gosh, that's good for you,
Morning,
Keith.
Gary.
That's great,
Hi, Lee.
man. Is walnut hard to carve? Walnut is very hard, but it carves great. It's very consistent, and it smells like, oh my gosh, I love the smell when I'm
I like
cutting.
the maple when you were carving the maple.
Yeah, it had a great smell to it, but black walnut, man, when I'm carving black walnut, man, I almost ingest that stuff. I just love the smell of it.
Jeff Foreman says,
But it carves good.
sawmills are great to get the
Yep.
second cuts or cutoffs.
Yeah, if you have a lumber mill or a sawmill, and there are some places now. Those little if you're in an area that has a lot of wood, there's a lot of like little side part-time sawmill guys, because they do it with a chainsaw. You know, you can get different things that will mill lumber and cut lumber out of logs, and there's a lot of guys that are doing that just on the side, and they're selling lumber. So
Yeah.
you might check with that. You know, there's all kinds of little devices, either a little bandsaw mill for a few $1,000s, or literally and Izzy Swan built one out of lumber. But there's little, I wish we were in a wooded area, because I would definitely be doing that.
Matt.
But they're cutting boards with a chainsaw.
Matt said that was it cedar? I think he said 6 foot by 6 foot 8 inches at Lowe's was $23,
Wow.
and it's junk.
Yeah. And see, we don't even have cedar available to us here, other than the cedar fencing, which is, you know, well, that's what this was made out of. But you can see it's thin, and I can only get it like 5 inches wide. My son over in California has a cedar fencing, but a lot of times he can get 12-inch wide. Oh, out here only the 5-inch wide stuff is all that's
Stan
available.
Fleming says, I got some 6 by 8 cedar at 84 lumber for around $20.
6 by 8.
Cedar.
Huh? Well, that's better. That's a little bit better. But I don't have access to anything cedar other than the cedar fencing. I do have access to redwood, which is 2-inch redwood, 1.5-inch net, and that's what I make most of my big signs out of these days. And it's pretty cheap. It's made for decking. That's what it's really used for. So I have to sort through it.
Thomas Gent says, so FYI, as Jeff Dale said, the sign I showed in the Zoom of my parents, the sign he showed his parents,
Yep.
I waited 5 days before spraying clear Rust-Oleum on a sign. The one-shot still bubbles up. So anyone using one-shot spray clear coat before painting, it does not put a pull effect on the letters like a crackle. I'm up in the air to fix it.
Well, see, Tom, I always put my one shot on last. That's just what I do. It's an exterior paint. I don't want any finish on top of that because it just doesn't need to be there. It flows good. It just looks terrific as a top coat. So I just make it a point not to spray anything on top of that. Now, I have broken that rule early on, I made when I started using Czar water-based polyurethane, I put that over the top of that gold paint.
He said he will from now on.
Yeah, I put that over the top of the gold paint on John Peters' sign, that Rolling Hills. But I tested it first, and I didn't have any issues with it. But I just,
Morning, Justin.
you know, I just will not put any finish over the top of the one shot. I don't feel it's necessary. I just get my finish completely done, and the last thing I do is paint. That's it.
Justin's here.
Hey, Justin, I got to get a hold of you, man. I'll be sending you an email today. Okay. What else?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Okay. So tomorrow morning, a brand new senior moment with Dad over on Facebook. I think you guys will like it. Another story from his childhood. Monday, like I said, the second part of the lunar sign, and I was just so happy with the way that thing came out. I think you guys will like it.
It was scary.
Yeah, Vicky did some Fordham work on that, so a little bit of a power carving, but it was very finessey. You had to be really finessey with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finessey. I like that.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
Yeah. Thank you for the likes, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. So that is it, guys. Move on with your weekend. Hope you guys have great things planned. The weather out here is good. I think Vicky and I are going to get away this afternoon.
Matt says, will we see why it was scary, Vicky? Yes.
Yes, you will. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. You want to go shut it off?
Oh.
Yeah, my arms won't
I'm
reach
gonna
over
go
there.
shut it off. Bye, guys. Love ya.
All right, guys. Be sure to email me if you want information on that Zoom coaching thing. So, everybody have a great weekend. We will see you live here Tuesday night.
Oh, where's the stop? Okay,
don't know.
bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Michael, my brother from another mother.